the New Jerusalem.
Krishna, the eighth avatar of Vishnu, fulfills the seed of the woman prophecy by placing his foot upon the head of the serpent. And we've seen this also with Hercules, in the constellation Hercules, placing his foot on the head of Draco. Everyone is trying to encapsulate this information and pass it on to the next generation. We know that Krishna is the eighth avatar of Vishnu. The ninth avatar we know is Buddha. The 10th avatar will be Kalki, the god who rides a white horse. Now, here's a couple of interesting things. The question we've asked ourselves is, what is the mechanism by which all of these various cultures carry the same story? Now, one possibility is found in the Bible. The Bible talks about the Tower of Babel. And it says that the whole world spoke one language and was in one place, which was in Sumer. And then they dispersed throughout the world. And as they dispersed throughout the world, they took that story with them and reclothed the story in what Joseph Campbell would say the ethnic trappings, the ethnic costumes. So that this story came out to be a little different in every culture, but similar enough that you know that they're somehow related. So, here's an example. How far away can we go from Sumer to see if we have any kind of connection at all? And I'd say as far as we can go is China. China evidently has no savior motif. And so we have to ask, well, could we find somewhere in China that they perhaps have a connection with the story of the dispersing from Sumer? Now, the Chinese have a historical dynasty they call the Shang. The Shang dynasty dates from 1500 BC. But they say that there is a mythological dynasty that predated the Shang, about 2200 BC, called the Xia. So how can we prove this? If we look at Chinese characters are very complicated to look at, but they're interesting because they're broken down into smaller characters. For instance, the Chinese drew a man like this, and later on that became that, and it meant man. A Chinese would draw a man like this and draw a mouth, and that became this. Now, this by itself means man, that by itself means mouth, but when you put them together in one character, it no longer means man or mouth, it means population. So what happens is you have another idea that is made from parts of smaller characters. The smaller characters are called radicals. So you can take a complicated character like this one to create and you can actually see how it evolved to become that character. So the Chinese took the radical for dust. Dust is a plant growing out of the earth. And radical for mouth, the breath of a mouth. A little slash, radical for life, being alive. And if you just took these three together, you'd come out with this. That means to talk. And then if you add the radical for movement or walking, you get the meaning to create. So what does this take us to? Adam and Eve. Adam was made from the dust. God breathed into his mouth. He became alive. He could talk. And he could walk. And this was God, creation. Well, look at this one here. Here's two. And this again is the radical for a person. It's just separated here at the top a little bit. So instead of being like this, it's like that. Two persons. If you add two persons together, it means first. So you think of Adam and Eve were the first people. So they're the first two people, means first. If you add home, which is put a little roof over them, we have complete. So back in the Garden of Eden, we have Adam and Eve, their little house, everything perfect, everything complete. Here we have dust again. Here's dust. This is the plant going out. Plus breath again. This is two persons. It's just simply the same character for two, just kind of squished together. It looks like that there, but that's just this and this. It's just two persons. So dust plus breath plus two persons in an enclosure means garden. So we have Adam being made by the breath. He becomes alive. The two of them, Adam and Eve, put into their little enclosure. It means garden. So we have the Garden of Eden idea. And this is China. Now here's what's interesting. The Chinese character for fire is a person with flames coming off of them. And that seems to me kind of amazing because, there's a thing called the glory. And the glory was something that God has. When God is present, there's the glory. It's like a fire. When Moses saw the burning bush, the bush was not consumed, but it was burning, because the glory of God was nearby, superimposed on the bush, but it was not the chemical oxidation of the bush through burning. It had nothing to do with the bush and chemistry. The bush just happened to be at the same place that the glory was present, and it appeared as if the bush was burning. Was Adam a glorified body? Before he sinned, before he was kicked out of the garden? Was there maybe radiation coming out of him? I don't know if you're familiar with the Mount of Transfiguration story in the Bible, but in the New Testament, Jesus reveals himself. He allows some of his glory to appear to his disciples, and it terrifies them, and it's something that he's held back inside of him, the glory. Was Adam a glorified being? Here we have light. This one is a person. Here we have glory. Glory has two fires, that's Adam and Eve. And there's the tree, probably the tree of life. Here it's kind of an interesting thing. We have the tree of life and the tree of knowledge, and we have the woman. Now this is the woman character. It looks like this. And where that evolved from is, this is a broom, and the woman is holding the broom. So this means woman in Chinese. But you have the two trees and you have the woman, you have the idea to covet and to desire. She saw the tree of knowledge. She wanted to eat the fruit. This bottom character means to show. And these are the two trees. The meaning is to warn, saying,
Watch out now. You can eat of the tree of life, but you can't eat of the tree of knowledge. And this here is the character for grave. And here's the two fires, that's Adam and Eve. And there's the earth. So after they have sinned, they died.